Hello, everyone, and good afternoon. I'm Lori Harris, and I'm your host of Maximize Excellence. Today, I'm very, very honored to have a special guest, Lindsay Cashin, and she's the Vice President of People at the Honor Foundation. A little bit about Lindsay. Lindsay began her career in the classroom as a teacher and is now a human resource executive with the Honor Foundation. Lindsay is a spouse of an active duty Marine, and she is a mother of two beautiful children. We're going to probably talk a little bit about that. And then Lindsay influences and impacts the lives of others and fosters positive relationships to help others acquire knowledge, skills, and strengthen their abilities, ensuring that they have the right tools to succeed. So welcome, Lindsay. It's great to have you.
Thank you, Lori. It's great to be here with you.
Love it. So today we're going to dig in a little bit and talk about the Honor Foundation and your job and transitioning military leaders and a little bit more about all of that. How's that today?
Wonderful. Looking forward to it because it's my passion. So
you are a very passionate individual. I believe since knowing you and working with you with the Honor Foundation, both Lynn Whitesell and I, my managing partner, we're partners in all of this together. We truly have enjoyed just your personality and your talents for really connecting and brokering and giving people an opportunity to see more in themselves and realize the best of themselves. And you really have created some great programming in support of the Honor Foundation, and you continue to be a champion of all of that as well. So we love it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. You make my days really easy too, because I know that as trusted sources of information, it's quite easy to go to and look for more advice and connections for the right passion and authentic individuals. So thank you. I appreciate both you and Lynn so much.
Great. Well, we have an audience out there today. There's a few that have tapped in and have gone live with us, probably on LinkedIn or YouTube. So we do broadcast this out live each month. And so we're going to be monitoring the comments board. So everybody feel free to post any questions. And at the end, we'll definitely, if we've got enough time, we'll have Lindsay answer any of those questions that you may have. So thank you for joining us out there today. So Lindsay, let's first talk a little bit about what is the Honor Foundation?
Yeah, so the Honor Foundation, we are a nonprofit that provides a 3-month executive style career transition and education program to the men and women of the special operations community. And what we've created is a safe space and an environment for the men and women to begin exploring what their next journey and adventure is going to be, whether it's after 10 or 12 years of service in the community or upwards of 30 years in the community. And we've really begun to enhance and strengthen the program to focus truly on 3 phases over 3 months. And we talk about themselves and a lot of self-reflection in that first phase. We are in a classroom 2 nights a week with these men and women. So this is really a dedication of time and commitment that they have moving forward into their transition, and a commitment from the Honor Foundation that we're there with them as a trusted partner. So in that first phase, when we're talking about what are their values and their preferences, what are their choices that they have in front of them to begin exploring, we're with them and we're maybe explaining what their Gallup strengths exercises look like. How can we leverage the tip of the spear skills of their natural abilities in order to highlight a stronger narrative and a story that they share with others around what they want to do next or where they want to live. So we really focus a lot on that first phase in the classroom with the men and women to get back to who they are in a self-reflection time. And we practice a lot of journaling. But then we go into the second phase and we're talking more about the toolkit for a transition, just like every other person who has a transition journey, everybody needs a resume or a LinkedIn profile. And what is that brand that you are now putting out there as yourself? So we help craft that with them. And I think it's really important that we're not doing it for them. We're helping them through this because they have to be comfortable with what they are, the images that they're putting out there, the narrative, their personal pitches, and their stories around their incredible strengths that they have. I always say that I learn as much from the men and women as they learn from myself and the other staff here, because their skills, their talents, their experiences, it's just such an elevated level of professionalism for them, that as we're making a resume, as we're crafting what interview responses look like in phase 2 for a mock interview event, they're comfortable in their own skin and they're very confident in what they're going to share. And so then we move into our third phase, so basically month 3, where we really start moving into companies and organizations to begin exploring different company cultures. And we really look to open their aperture to what is out there for them to find their next journey of passions, find that level of fulfillment. Maybe it is going into a big corporation and being in an office, or maybe it's opening their own business and small business. Maybe it's going back and getting a law degree. Whatever that journey looks like for them, we're very proud that the Honor Foundation gives them the foundational tools in order to achieve that with them. So that's a high-level overview of who we are.
It is, but you know what? Those specifics that you gave a clear picture of the journey that they go through. Maybe not the details, but it gave this vision and this clear picture. How many of these do you do each year? Is it just one, or do you actually have 4 of these, or do they run simultaneously? How does it work?
So we're very proud. We've got both physical and virtual campuses to serve the men and women. So we have a campus in San Diego, Virginia Beach, Wilmington, North Carolina, where I am, and also the Fort Bragg area in North Carolina. And then we have a virtual campus serving all of those men and women who are not near one of our physical campuses. And so we normally do spring and fall cohorts. So, simultaneously right now we've got 5 campuses going, serving upwards of over 200 men and women. And over the summer, we'll offer just virtual classes for the individuals to go through as well. So all in all, we're looking at 10 to 12 classes throughout the entire year serving the population. And it's wonderful because it's there and the need for it is there. But really what we're so proud about is those who are enrolling and applying for the program, that number consistently goes up. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a testament to the strength of the program and the alumni who go through. We have over 1,300 alumni around the world who have gone through our program. And a lot of the individuals coming through now have been referred to us by alumni. So they're seeing the strength in what is happening in the classroom for us.
Excellent. So let's shift a little bit from organization. Now I want to talk about your role, because you do have a unique title and it's becoming more and more common out there in the corporate world. And that is Vice President of People. And tell us why you have that title and what does it mean to the organization and the people you serve?
Yeah, so it's really interesting. It's one of those roles that is becoming much more popular in title right now in various ladders, whether it's independent career tracks or professional tracks. For my role here at the Honor Foundation, the majority of my work is actually client facing or customer facing. So as Vice President of People, my job is to not only directly coach and mentor fellows, as we call them, when they go through the program, but continue to coach and mentor them in the alumni status. So if I'm working with, say, 40 individuals in Wilmington, it's 40 individual projects that I am developing a very trusting relationship with, first and foremost, so I can continue to partner with them. So a lot of the work is not internal to coaching and developing our own staff at THF, but it's the men and women who go through our program. It's also an outward focused role when I'm talking to employers or volunteers and mentors. So the benefit of my private sector experience has been that when I'm speaking to corporations around the incredible talent we serve, I have an understanding of the language of that community and that world to begin with. So when we're looking at talent gaps and talent analysis reports or trends of hiring, I'm able to understand the needs of employers and what it is that they're looking for, whether it's from the executive level or influential hiring managers and talent team members. I'm able to connect the dots for where our talent is from the Honor Foundation to where their talent needs are in the company. So it's a blended role of coaching internally and developing internally and outward to the organizations where I could help educate and influence. So perhaps we're now making positive trends towards hiring trends, but also diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging initiatives.
Mm-hmm.
Where does the veteran population fit into those programs in order to enhance a company culture as well? So an all-encompassing role. I absolutely love it. And I see the power of that role for organizations too, as they're beginning to use it more.
Good. And what tools, are there any significant tools that you use to help with alignment with these individuals to an organization?
So in the beginning of our cohort, we do offer Clifton Strengths assessments and career leader assessments. I love both of those assessments because in the private sector, I use the Gallup to begin with. So it's a fantastic tool to really leverage your natural talents and abilities. And it doesn't shift too much over time. It stays fairly consistent. The career leader tool, I actually do really like as well, because while it's not telling an individual what role they will be good at, it is giving them the opportunity to see where others who have similar skills, interests, and motivators align when it comes to new companies. And I use that tool really as a foundation moving forward, because you don't know what you don't know. So if you don't know what HR management is or business development, it's a starting point for conversations with myself and the individual, because I then explain what are the different options of business development. Is it a sales role? Is it influencing new clients? And that's really the great part about those tools. So those are the two tools we leverage here at the Honor Foundation all the time.
Excellent news. That's great to hear that you do, in fact, use their data, the people data. And in relation to your title, Vice President of People, it just shows the depth and width of being able to maximize those specifics about those individuals. It's not something you're assuming. You're actually, they're taking the assessment, and the reality of that data is most often 95% or better accurate, and helps them align to those organizations.
It
That
does.
is,
It really does. And I think one of the great parts about those assessments is, having gone through so many cohorts, you really begin to understand the differences of the different branches of service too, and the individuals who are coming from one community ethos to another. So it's a great opportunity for us at the Honor Foundation to also begin to recognize the trends of where others have landed successfully. What does that fulfillment path look like for those in California and those in Virginia Beach? Where are their alumni going to? And we're able to internally begin looking at those trends and analysis, because we'll take that information and then go out into the community and say, we need more mentors in industry X. We want more coaches in this geographical region. So it really is benefiting us both internally and outward to those we serve, because the tool it's just a wealth of information once you begin utilizing it the right way. Other tools I've liked in the past, though, I've liked Predictive Index in the past. I thought that was always a great tool. I've used that in the private sector as well. And then the more, obviously, the famous ones of DISC and Myers-Briggs, but they're great assessments. They really are.
Good. Let's shift and talk about military transition and the Great Resignation. And I'm going to put out there, Gallup has recently done a study of the Great Resignation. And we know 48% of America's working population is right now actively looking for new job opportunities. Now, military transition isn't necessarily the same as somebody who's working in a civilian job and either quits or is seeking a new job. Military transition is where they've served their 4 years or whatever their term is, and or they're making a decision that they're going to finalize their military service and transition out into a civilian job. The end result is the same, but the way in which we get there is very unique. And so and what's interesting about this 48% is that many of them are transitioning military individuals.
Yeah.
So what is the Honor Foundation doing in relation to the Great Resignation, and what's some of the focus there for you?
So it's interesting. The COVID first, 2 years ago, when this really was beginning to impact whether or not individuals were going to transition when they were supposed to versus extend a contract a little bit longer, we've seen more individuals now come through the program who are ready to transition, who are at a point in their career where they're comfortable, they're embracing it because of that Great Resignation that is going on. Organizations are becoming much more flexible with what work schedules look like. They're being much more flexible when it comes to being remote employees versus always in an office space, and what that hybrid scenario looks like. So for transitioning special operations individuals who we serve, it's a fantastic time because of the willingness and the creativity of employers. So when you find that sweet spot of talent in the men and women who we serve, we're able to help negotiate what a new experience looks like for the employer as well. So, but I can say for those that I've worked with directly, when it comes to the Great Resignation, preparing for that, they've had a little bit of a difficult challenge in the past because from the career that they're coming from in special operations, they've had a fairly small digital footprint. And in a time of networking is critical. We're finding the right time to go live on a LinkedIn page, finding the right tools in order to be comfortable that nothing is being shared that shouldn't be shared. Right. We really are starting from the ground up when it comes to networking effectively at this point. But we build that into our curriculum. We go through multiple classes on how to thread together a narrative so you're networking effectively. And we also provide a great cup of coffee program where we have over 1,400 unique volunteers willing to open their networks and have conversations with the men and women. So we're creating a safe space for them to begin exploring those conversations. So when they do have their end of service date, they are prepared. And we're very proud. Our internal commitment is that every man and woman who goes through within 90 days or less of leaving active duty service, they have their fulfillment and they're in that next adventure. And we're just at 97%. So we're holding to our commitment. And I think it comes down to because we are with them with Honor for Life. That's part of who we are. We serve them for their first transition or their second or their third. We're going to be there for them. So the Great Resignation is real. That's for sure.
Okay. And what do hiring companies need to know about transitioning military leaders?
It is an incredible group of men and women. And I use leader very broadly because the special operations community is extremely diverse to begin with. When you're serving on smaller teams, your rank and your age plays no part into actually achieving your mission. You are really that high-level teamwork, collaboration, and trust. It's right there. So I think when organizations are looking for military leaders to move into an organization and bring their leadership, they're bringing all of their resources of their time in the community. So they know how to adapt and be very flexible in a changing environment. You're also bringing individuals who have high levels of effective interpersonal communication skills. And that level of self-awareness and situational awareness really allows for them to read the room the right way. They have a very unique lens and perspective when it comes to analyzing data and being able to move forward and achieve what needs to be done strategically or objectively. But I also think, one of the great things about this talent is they're statesmen and women. They have spoken and sat with diplomats of foreign countries. They sit with members of Congress. They have really, for the Honor Foundation and who we serve, they are the elite nation's warriors. So when it comes to finding a role for the men and women, I always challenge an organization, if you don't have one, how could we help create one?
Yes.
Because it's the right culture for the man, for this man or for this woman moving into it. So it's exciting. But I think that's one of the areas right now for organizations. They're still trying to best determine where these individuals can accelerate and stay. I think there's a difference when you hire a veteran versus retaining the veteran and keeping the veteran on staff so they continue to not only impact the business, but impact those around them and continue to mentor those. And I think that's why we've seen such an uptick in employee resource groups and organizations begin to gain more traction moving forward, because there's an incredible group of men and women who have served our nation who have a lot of soft skills and competencies that comes natural to them.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And what's interesting from our side, a lot of companies aren't necessarily in tune with the depth of training, the depth of value-driven type of development that happens with military personnel, especially military leaders. And one thing that I really see, and Lynn and I both, with the opportunity to do the volunteer that we do with you, with the coaching, I have to say many of them are already well into and demonstrating naturally and organically values. So what was interesting, I got to share this with you, Lindsay, and it's part of this conversation. When you agreed to do this interview with us and come on, I thought, wow, wouldn't it be interesting to kind of look at not only the U.S. military organizations and what their values are, but go around the world and let's look at the all military organizations all around the world and what are core values. What is it that they're brought into when you sign up to become a service person, a service member, man or woman? You come into an organization, and in that training, boot camp, whatever it is that you go through, you are instilled and infused and begin to embrace the values, the core values. And I found it quite interesting: honor, humility, integrity, service, loyalty, courage, discipline, professionalism. Let's see here.
It goes on.
It does.
It's just
quite, you mentioned how they really are, and they have had those experiences where they're working with other leaders of high exposure and large responsibilities, right? Not just for their territories, their nations, but also communities and organizations and businesses and people. And bottom line, what's beautiful about this is that, and the question I want to come back to, what do hiring companies need to know about transitioning military leaders? One thing, and you said it very clearly, is they are excellent in who they are and what they do. And it's because of their training. It's because of their experience. But it takes, having been there, done that, and I was a wife like you are of a military service member. These individuals, they give of themselves quite extensively, and they align, and they do so with full commitment, not because they're forced to, but they do it because it's within them.
It is. They are the true definition of servant leaders. They are putting others before themselves in all that they do, and as do their families. And I love when a spouse comes to the class with the individual. So they could, a transitioning service member can bring his or her spouse or partner, significant other, and get the same tools as they're journeying what this transition looks like. But, touching back to the values, I love from the special operations community, each of the different branches, whether it's the Navy, Marine Corps, Air Force, Army, They each have their community and their ethos. But when it comes to special operations, I love what one of their truths are. It's that humans are more important than hardware. So at the heart of every single thing that these men and women are doing day in and day out here or in various countries around the world, their people are what is important to them. And it's the men and women who are next to them. And I think that that goes to show as they're really looking at what their next company that they're going to join or their next school they're going to go to, what that looks like. They want that sense of team, that sense of community, and that sense of belonging to something that's bigger than who they are so they can continue to make an impact. And I think that from the veteran population, if organizations begin embracing the culture that a veteran can begin instilling, in addition to what the company morals, values, vision really are, and the mission and purpose, I think it's a win-win. It's 100% then that you're going to get from a veteran in an organization because they're going to help develop and foster a community of trust.
And I want to add to that, one of the special operations statements I found out there was focus on key transitional readiness to navigate any transition throughout his or her career. And state of readiness is tremendous, especially in coaching emerging leaders, high potential leaders, leaders who are looking and seeking to make greater influence or greater impact. State of readiness is also that state of curiosity, right? And a lot of these military leaders and individuals that come through your program are sustained because of that state of readiness and that state of curiosity.
Yeah. And I think that that's a great point. And that state of readiness, I personally think one of the reasons these individuals excel is because they're coming from diverse environments already. So their state of readiness is teams of men and women of various socioeconomical, political backgrounds, different identifications, and they're still working together. They're seeing the uniqueness that every single person brings to their organization. And I just think, especially these days, that is just an incredible trait to have as a leader, where you are embracing every person who you are listening to, and they're being vulnerable. They're sharing more about themselves. So those attributes of trust are developed faster than just, a new coworker who started and who's 3 cubicles down. What I see is when we're engaging with our alumni after they've accepted a great role and they're coming back, they're sharing their transition stories with the new cohorts of fellows. One of the things that they're always talking about is the people they work with and how, at the end of the day, it wasn't too much of a difficult task in order to find the right team, because they shared who they were, they shared their values, they begun to translate their stories over into something that maybe somebody who's never served in special operations community wouldn't understand, but they've found a balance on how to highlight who they are as a person without going back to stories only a veteran would understand. So it's a beautiful thing when you see it come full circle, because you know that you're doing something right then. You know that you've really allowed them to learn more about themselves and how to move into this next adventure for them. So it's a great process, but it really does come down to the values. You're absolutely right, Lori.
So I want to, now this is a perfect transition. Once transitional military leaders are hired, what's important for those transitional leaders to know and do? Once they're hired, you mentioned they come back and they talk about these stories, but also at the same time, as they begin to transition, what's important?
So 2 things. I think one of the things that's extremely important is to have a mentor. Find or keep a mentor who's been with you in this journey of transition, or find a new mentor in where you're working. Find somebody who you are comfortable with. Maybe themselves are a veteran, so there's a common knowledge that we can go back to, but find a mentor. I think that that's very important, because everybody is going to remain a continual learner. If you're not learning in your role anymore, it's probably not the right place for you, because you want to continue to accelerate yourself personally and professionally. But I also think the other item I always encourage everyone to do is join the resource groups and organizations, or if you're at a university, join the veteran alumni group or join the veteran group that's there, because you're now going and becoming a new member of a different group of individuals. And I also say, don't always just join the veteran resource group. Join other groups, because you're bringing a new light, you're bringing a new lens in, and you're also going to gain knowledge from others too. So I love that. Even when I worked in the private sector, just because there's employee resource groups, you don't need to necessarily identify with that group in order to be a member of it. So I always encourage, join those groups, because it's so much knowledge for you to embrace, and you're just going to make outstanding relationships.
Yeah, and that inclusion, that diversity and inclusion plays out again. It's constant. It is a constant.
It is.
I love it. And I want to share with you this. This was a wonderful article on 4 workplace trends we're watching this year. It came from recruitmentmilitary.com, and it's dated just this past month. But it talks about there's reasons for hiring veterans. And I think it applies to this question, what's important for them to know. And it gets back to values a little bit, but it says loyalty. Veterans remain within their initial company 8.3 times longer than non-veterans. And then work ethic. Veterans are 39% more likely to be promoted earlier than non-veterans. And experience. Veterans with bachelor's degrees have 2.9 times more work experience.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And this is something I think that most transitioning military leaders have gone through and bring to the table. Right. And so it's important for them, I think, and I want you to expand on this, to remain confident in knowing that they've got a great foundation.
They do. And for an organization, I think it's very important to not bucket individuals, whether it's veterans or other individuals, not bucket them into a said role, because embracing their experiences, embracing their skills, and allowing them to be able to maybe leverage their strengths in a new role in that organization will only provide a greater return on investment. And with the cost per hire up from the HR lens, you want to make sure that we are keeping our talent in these organizations. So I think when it comes down to individuals moving into companies and staying there, I think it really is the communication they have with their leaders and the willingness of their leaders to maybe let them off of one team and use their skills in another. And I've seen countless, stories of that happening, because in these great conversations where organizations are becoming much more matrixed, all of a sudden a skill set was determined that this, person A had, team B really needed it. And they allowed that person to go to team B, and now they've just accelerated. They've brought new business in. They have stronger employee engagement when it comes to surveys. So I think it just goes to show that willingness to embrace the talent and really see it through, though. Not necessarily say, okay, you're at your 30, 60, 90-day mark of orientation. How do you like the job? No, let's really create what that long-term plan looks like so this individual stays here. And they're able to go back into their community and be a great ambassador for their organization too, and the culture that's there. I think that's
two things that come to mind. One, there's an opportunity to create value with ongoing development, meaning that, they're coming in strong, but they can continue to be strong and stronger. The second point is, you mentioned, matrix organizations. I would even go further to say that we're moving very much into a project economy, where there are project-driven initiatives that are mission-driven. And those organizations are moving to this project organization in order to fulfill and maximize talent and optimize that talent as well. And I just think that does require ongoing development and having those individual development plans ongoing for these leaders. It doesn't matter if you're a veteran or not, but it specifically with these military leaders that are transitioning, I think that's important for them to understand as well. It's not once and done. And these assessments and these development and training programs that are available, absolutely to continue to take advantage of those. Would you agree?
I do. I think that for everybody's transition, taking advantage of the resources out there.
Yeah.
And then when you're in an organization, taking advantage of the professional development tools that they have internal too. So sign up to take those 30-second webinars, or, sign up to do it, because you're now opening up yourself to continued growth and opportunity in the organization. And then in the community, what are the other ways that you could still remain involved? Are there other charities you could start donating your time to and making an impact? Because you need to continue to grow personally and professionally. And often when you're going through a career transition, it's one or the other.
Yeah.
And what we really want to ensure is happening is that this is an impact that makes mind, body, spirit, everybody is going to be very happy with what they're doing. And you bring your passion to work, you're a better person. So the work exists for everyone to do, but whether you're doing it with passion, it's really clear to individuals when you're not. So it's just finding that sweet spot of passion and purpose that's very important for veterans as they're considering what's next.
So how can transitioning military leaders maximize excellence? We've talked a lot about a lot of things.
I think as elementary as it seems, you're going to maximize your potential and all of your excellence by remaining true to who you are, and understanding who you are, and really embracing that you have a choice in this journey now. So let's make sure that we're doing it the right way. Find those trusted partners and advisors to work with you. Find those individuals who are willing to share their knowledge with you and your talent. But you can maximize all your excellence as long as you remain true to who you are and what you're looking for.
Wonderful. Great conversation today, Lindsay. What I want to do is have you share with others. I'm putting up the website here, but share with others how people can connect with you, how businesses can connect with you, how other leaders out there can connect with you, and what are the opportunities there. And then if there are other transitional military leaders and special ops individuals that are out there, how can they connect with you? And the last part about this is connection is there are many other wonderful transitional military organizations out there doing this as well for enlisted individuals, very, niched pockets within military. How can they collaborate and connect with you as well?
I think the last study showed there was almost 70,000 veteran service organizations looking to make sure individuals have, whether it's fulfillment or security and community. So the easiest way would be to go to honor.org. It's from donating your time, just hitting info and submitting your name. It populates to our team. And I'm very proud that when individuals reach out to us over the website, a member of our team actually gets in contact with everybody. So we speak to all of our volunteers, so we know who they are, and we're very proud of those relationships that we have. But I'm on LinkedIn. Anybody could please connect with me on LinkedIn, and I'll throw up my email address as well. Whether we're looking to volunteer time, coach, mentor those we serve around the world, there's many unique ways to do so, whether you're in a classroom or in a virtual space. So plenty of opportunities.
Great. All right. We've had some comments, so I just want to read through those. I don't know if you've seen them or not, but Dixie Banner, who works with an organization as well, is out there. One transitions many times in their life. The goal is to secure a positive transition once you decide to leave the military. However, veterans prior to 9/11 are pivoting into new careers who need assistance. So how can we help them, or how can we steer them in a direction?
Yeah, I think my number one advice to any veteran is find your local veteran groups in your communities, or find those larger platforms on social media, those groups that you can join so you could begin networking and resourcing and really leveraging your brothers and sisters who have gone through it as well. So take advantage of the resources local and in a virtual world.
Love it. Shannon Hanks says, thanks for what y'all are doing. So a little bit of kudos there. Stacy Gordon also is an excellent transition coach and works with many, many military families as well. She says it's all about the human relationships. So true.
Yeah.
So nailed it.
Yes.
Yeah, and just love the connection piece. Absolutely, you guys. So thank you everyone out there for joining us today. Lindsay, I just want to say thank you again for everything that you're doing. And by the way, extend our kudos and our thank you to your leadership team. You guys are working day and night to make differences and make positive influence that's lasting. And you guys are doing a great job. I look forward to continuing to support the Honor Foundation. Lynn and I are just dedicated to this and our philanthropy work, and we think it's very powerful and very positive. So thank you again, and taking the time out today. Sure did enjoy this. Learned a lot.
Thank you so much. It's a passion of mine. It's, being a military spouse and being a former private sector employee, I just see a great potential here, and it's real, it's authentic, and it's a true passion for everybody at the Honor Foundation of what we're doing. So thank you for your support.
Absolutely. Take care.
Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Maximize Excellence. Visit our events page on our website for details on upcoming podcasts, and visit our YouTube channel to listen to past episodes. And remember to ask yourself at the end of each day, did I do my best to maximize excellence today?